Tadparam Paryaya Vedmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guruhu Prachodayate Om. Om Yogacharya Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Namaste and welcome to this session where we are continuing our discussions and practice of Savitri Pranayam. Savitri is that beautiful solar energy, an energy of life, an energy of nourishment, an energy of guidance, an energy that enables us to be the best we that we can be. And as a human being, when we incarnate on this planet, we have what is called a Manushya Dharma. And that is the responsibility, the purpose with which we incarnate as a human being. Manushya Dharma. And this Manushya Dharma needs energy. Because if you don't have energy, you cannot do anything. It's like you want to help people and you don't have any means to help them. Well, your grand plans fall flat. So you have all these plans on what you're going to do in life and how you're going to manifest your dharma, your purpose. And if you don't have the energy to do it, nothing's going to happen. And so that is why it is essential that we connect to the source of energy, so that we as an energy being are constantly nourished. We need to be nourished constantly as an energy being by reconnecting with the source. What is the source? As far as this planet goes, the energy source is the sun. So the sun, Surya, becomes the energy source for the whole solar system, of which we are a small component. And even while, most cultures were looking at what is happening in the solar system, and so many people thought that the earth was the center of the solar system and the galaxy. Even then, in the Indian culture, Surya, the sun, was always the center of the Navagraha. And that is why it starts off with the sun. And today is the sun, Sunday, the day of the sun. Indian culture starts off Nama Suryaya Somaya Mangalaya Budaya Cha Guru Shukra Shani Percha Ragave Kedave Namaha. It starts off with Surya. And this is why there's always a confusion, because in modern times, the first day of the week is Monday. But for many traditional Indians, the first day of the week is Sunday, because everything starts with the sun. So here there's a slight difference when you want to know what is the first day of the week. And this is where the sun becomes the primary source, Surya. Savitri is the feminine, benevolent, maternal energy. It is an energy of sustenance. When we talk about the universe, the Indian culture has Prakriti, which is Mother Nature. Because Mother Nature nourishes us, gives birth to us, nourishes us, and sustains us with her love. Similarly, the Savitri and the Gayatri, these are the two feminine energies associated with the sun. Savitu is the sun. Savitri, when you are thinking of the feminine form of energy, which is benevolent, compassionate, understanding. Now, the same Savitri has a very beautiful story in Indian culture, because Savitri is the epitome of womanhood who, when her husband died, Satyavan, he dies. And this is a bigger story. I'm just giving you the gist of it. Satyavan dies at a certain time, and Yamaraja, that is the king of death, lord of death, Yama, he comes and he takes with his lasso, and he comes on that big dark buffalo, and lassos Satyavan's soul and is going off, and Savitri keeps following. She keeps on following Yama, and he gets tired of this woman who's not going to give up. Huh? If it had been a man, he would have given up long back. But Savitri, being the woman, she's going to keep to it, and so she keeps following Yama. And there comes a point where Yama's like, why don't you just go back? She's like, no, you have a husband. I'm not going back without him. Yama says, this is against the rules. Once I, the god of death, have taken the soul, there's no going back. So you please go back. You're still alive. It's your husband who died, not you. These discussions in Indian culture are amazing, because you have like Nachiketa, this young boy discussing with Yamaraja. Here you have the discussion of Savitri with Yamaraja. In the Mahabharata, you have the beautiful discussion of Yudhishthira with Yamaraja, who happens to be his divine father also. So quite amazing actually. These are not made up stories. Please never think these are made up stories. These are happenings at another level of existence, at another dimension, which we are not able to connect, and hence we negate, saying it doesn't exist. Swamiji used to say there are at least 9 dimensions. So there are many dimensions which we are not aware of, and because we are not aware, we think they don't exist, and so we say, oh, that is all fictional. And so immediately they say, oh, in Hindu mythology. It's not mythology. These are things that happened. And that is why if people want to use this, the least they can do is say mythological history and historical mythology. This is one way if you want to still use that term, because there's a very thin line between these in Indian culture. So coming back to Savitri, she keeps on basically nagging the Lord of Death, Yamaraja, and this guy at one point doesn't know what to do. Most men have this situation when they get into an argument with a woman. So Yamaraja is in a no-win situation, okay? He has no way out of it. She has really put him in the corner. So he says, see, Savitri, I'll give you anything you want except your husband's soul. He said, that I cannot do. Because the rule is, I cannot give it back. Give me anything you want. And Savitri says, promise? And with the kids, whenever somebody says something, they say, promise, mother promise, God promise. Yamaraja says, in my head, I promise. She says, okay, I want 100 sons. Bless me. And Yama says, bless you. And she says, thank you very much. Now for those 100 sons, I need my husband back. Amazing. Now, this story would not work in the modern context, because the modern Yama would say, go find a new husband and have your 100 sons. But we have to put it into the Indian traditional context. And she actually gets Satyavan back from the death to the life. That is the power of Savitri. So when we are doing the Savitri Pranayama, it is not just, oh, this is another breathing technique. Okay, Dr. Ananda taught us, so we'll do it and then we'll go on to the next breathing technique. See, why is this the foundational breath practice of Gitananda tradition? Is because it is life nourishing, life sustaining. And if the life is not there, is it still yoga? It becomes what my dear Kaustubh likes to call Jada yoga. Jada means a dead body. Jada yoga is the popular yoga in the world today. The dead body yoga. They have the body but not the soul. There's no energy in it. It's just a body that does something. So coming back, Savitri is this amazing energy that can even conquer death. This is why whenever we do the Shavasana in the Gitananda tradition, we add the Savitri Pranayama to it. Now this is one of the most phenomenal combinations, and this combination beats everything else. To understand this, we have to go back a little bit. Every asana in yoga that was codified by our great Maharishis, the great seers, those who could perceive reality as it is. Every asana is a simulation. Simu, not stimulation. Many asanas also stimulate. And stimulate means to get activated. Simulation. Simulation means to have an experience without actually going through the process. For example, people do flight simulators. So you're not on the flight, but you have an experience and you learn what it is to be on the flight. Anti-gravity, when people are going into space, they go through a simulator that gives them the experience of being in zero gravity. In modern medical education, a lot of simulation comes in. In fact, our university has a top-notch simulation department and amazing work where you can actually learn to virtually nowadays do a surgery in a simulated manner so that you are not actually doing it on a person or harming them, which is how we learn, but you are actually doing it in a situation which is a simulation. Now let's come back to the asana. The concept of asana for the rishis was, these were simulations. Why? The rishi said, I see a tree. I want to experience within myself what it feels like to be a tree. And so they created Vrikshasana, the tree posture. The Vrikshasana is not just good for your legs and your pelvis and your shoulders and for your balance and all of that. But the Vrikshasana, when you perform it consciously, mindfully, what it does is it enables you to experience what it feels like to be a tree. And that is why asanas, all yoga practices are simulation techniques. They are techniques to simulate that experience in us so that we can go through all those experiences without having to go through them. So you don't have to again become a tree. As a human being, you can experience what it feels like to be a tree. As a human being, you can experience what it feels like to be a dog, a cat, a mouse, an elephant, whatever you want. And what you do is you simulate all the previous memories, the deep, stubborn memories that are part and parcel of you, which are buried into our reptilian, mammalian complexes, the old brain, the primitive brain, which has within it all those memories. Those memories, that is why smriti or memory is one of the chitta vrittis in Patanjali's teachings. These are memories that are there. And that is why one needs to be able to work them. If one cannot work them, one is really going to be in a struggle. That is why one has to remember that if we are just doing yoga for the sake of the exercise part, we are going to be stuck. So these memories are back there. So when you put yourself into the Bhujangasana, the cobra posture, pose, and attain the cobra poise. Asana evolves from pose to posture to poise. And in poise, you actually experience the asana. In pose and posture, there's a lot of doing. So you move from doing the asana to being the asana, experiencing the asana. When you experience the asana, what happens? All those primitive memories can be cleared out. And yes, Kim, that is the reason why sometimes people may not like a certain asana, because it brings up these memories. And because they don't know what is happening, they think that asana makes me feel bad, so I won't do it. During the 6-month course, towards the end, Ammaji often has the student write out, the 5 asanas they like the most and 5 asanas they hate the most. And most of the time, the asanas that they hate the most are the asanas they actually need. But the problem is, the subconscious, unconscious says, this doesn't feel good. And now in modern times, because we are so worried about yoga injuries, we say, oh, if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it. And this is the danger, where we have taken yoga out of context, taken a modern physiotherapy, medical, anatomical, structural basis and put yoga into it. And so just as we have contraindications and blah, 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 blah for everything else, those have come into yoga. I'm not saying everything is safe in yoga. In fact, Swamiji used to say, yoga is as safe as mother's milk. And this statement was quoted in the New York Times. New York Times, when they ran that article by that fraud, William Fraud, on the science of yoga. And I don't like to give him publicity, but at that time I got a call from New York Times and they said, your father Swami Gitananda has been quoted as saying, yoga is as safe as mother's milk. Did he say it? We are verifying the quote. I said, yes, very much my father did say it. But I say, then he added to it. He said, yoga is as safe as mother's milk, but even mother's milk is not safe anymore. But those guys were not interested in it, and that fraud was not interested in it. So that second part of the statement never came into being. So the context of yoga is vital for our understanding. Coming back, asanas are simulation techniques. What is Shavasana? Shavasana means the dead body posture. Why on earth does anybody want to be dead? Everybody wants to be alive and feel alive, right? The yogis said, we want to experience what it feels like to be dead without dying for it. Experience death without dying for it. Isn't that an amazing perspective that these great masters had? And we claim to be descendants of such masters. We are not even the chalk on the cheese. Shavasana is an asana in which when you perform Shavasana, you can experience what death is. The experience of death without dying for it is what Shavasana is about. And that is why in the Gitananda tradition, we lie down just like a dead body. Head to north, feet to south. People get scared. Oh, only dead bodies are put there. I'm like, this asana is to enable you to experience death. That is how you have to lie down, because you have to recreate and you have to simulate that experience and not try to escape the modern escapistic tendencies. No. So you lie down with your head to the north, feet to the south, like they place a dead body in India. You keep your heels together. Dead bodies, you go to any home where somebody's died, you don't find the legs apart. That is this modern idea that you have to be relaxed. And Shavasana was not meant for relaxation in that context. The heels are kept together. The body is kept straight. Shavasana as a relaxation technique, the relaxation is only the tip of the iceberg. The deepest part of the iceberg is experiencing what death is without dying for it. So here you have put yourself in this Shavasana, but you start doing Savitri Pranayam. The genius of this combination is way beyond anything. Whether it was Swami Kanakananda, whether it was Swamiji, I don't know. But the genius of this combination is way beyond anything you can think of. Here you are putting yourself into a posture of death, but you are doing a pranayama of life. Savitri Pranayama. You are experiencing death, but you are working with life. Isn't this an amazing state of being? Where you at that moment are actually putting into perspective what death is. And this is how you then overcome the fear of death. The Maha Mrityunjaya occurs at that point, because you start to realize death is not a final destination. It is only one of the stops on the entire cycle, or rather spiral of life. And this experience is a transformative, transcendental experience, because you have put yourself into an experience of death but manifesting life. And that is why this practice, lot of good work was done right in the 80s when Professor Madan Mohan Sir, he came between it was the end of 70s he would have come to Jipma. So it was the early 80s where he met Swamiji, and Swamiji and him collaborated on a lot of work at Jipma, where they worked on Shavasana and Savitri Pranayam, and they looked at body metabolism and oxygen consumption and the tone of the muscles. And it was found that when you do Shavasana and Savitri Pranayama, the fall, I think it was something like 26% fall of oxygen consumption and basal metabolic rate, which means you were going into a state where you could actually heal yourself. Shavasana with Savitri Pranayama enables the healing response. Now this is a new one. You have heard of stress response, you have heard of relaxation response. Now I'm introducing to you the healing response. This is how you heal yourself. You rejuvenate yourself. You regenerate yourself. You recuperate. And this is such a vital component when one is coming out of trauma, when one is coming out of any injury, when one is coming out of surgery. Shavasana with Savitri Pranayam. Okay? So the context of this is amazing. And if you want to know more about that, you can find there's a nice YouTube whiteboard video I've done on Savitri Pranayama and Shavasana, which we'll take up. Coming to 16.8. And yes, Dr. Ananda has finally come to the topic today. 16.8, which is the 8th thala, is called the Siddha rhythm, the master's breath, and is associated with rejuvenation of the body, longevity with good health, and perfection of ideals. Swamiji really had a way with language. The 16.8 is the Siddha rhythm, the master's breath, and is associated with rejuvenation of the body. That is what we have been talking about. Longevity with good health. Longevity with bad health is also a problem. Good health without longevity is also a problem. You need that combination. And perfection of ideals. Here the concept of the Siddha, the master adept, one in whom the Siddhi, the accomplishment, comes alive. Patanjali in the entire Vibhuti Pada talks about all of the amazing Siddhis that are there. And Swamiji in his most amazing book, there is an e-book available on the ICYER site, Siddhis and Riddhis. Swamiji has discussed 108 of these Siddhis. Amazing concept, and everybody wants them because they want to sort of become a magician or take control over the world. I don't know why anybody would, in the right mind, want to control the world. Seriously, that's a curse, not a blessing. Okay, if somebody says, "I bless you to be the master of the world," run away. It's a curse. So coming back, the Siddhas are those elevated aspirants who have become a grand master by practice. So here the 16.8, now think about it. 16 counts you are breathing in, 8 counts you are holding in, 16 counts you are breathing out, and 8 counts you are holding out. Basically 48 counts per cycle of breathing. Which means even if you take it as 45, that's 45 seconds approximately that you are taking for one breath, which means that 45 into 4, okay, 90, so 180. In 3 minutes, you take 4 breaths. 4 breaths in 3 minutes is basically how you have slowed down the whole system. So when you have slowed down the whole system like this, you have actually come into a state of hibernation. This is the type of thing the animals do in winter when they hibernate. They slow down the whole metabolic rate, the oxygen consumption. And the yogis, this is what they used to do. And so some of the yogis who could do this used to have people dig a big pit and bury them inside for some time. And that is where actually the original yoga research started, on yogis in big pits. Swamiji wanted to do it in Laspet Ashram, and the police came and stopped him. He wanted to have one of these exhibitions of this happening. What was the trick? The trick was you slow down your metabolic rate, your oxygen consumption. You become basically a hibernating animal. And that is why when Benson described meditation in one of his early papers in the 70s, he termed meditation as a wakeful, so you're awake, wakeful hypometabolic state. So hypometabolic state occurs when you are sleeping. That's why animals go to sleep and hibernate. But you are awake. So wakeful hypometabolic state. And the Savitri Pranayama definitely enables that to happen. So, what we were looking at is that if somebody is trying to recover from illness, a 4-2, if somebody is trying to work on emotional health, 6-3, if somebody is looking at the structure of the body and manifesting it, 8-4, if you're looking at speeding up metabolism, 10-5, if you're looking at pranic flow and sensory clarity, 12-6, and if you're looking at mental and sensory equilibrium, equanimity, 14-7, and then the Siddha rhythm, where you are actually going through a process of what would be called Kaya Kalpa. This is the Siddha's secret technique of rebuilding the system. The Siddhas are known to have lived for hundreds and even thousands of years, and they used to go through the process of Kaya Kalpa, where you rebuild yourself. So instead of dying and getting a new body, you keep on creating a new body in the same lifetime. Well, for most of us, that's way beyond our level. And 16-8 is not easy, okay? Swamiji goes on to mention here, he says, every phase of yoga is to be mastered until one becomes a Siddha or a yogi. Every phase of yoga is to be mastered until one becomes a Siddha or yogi. The word Siddha and yogi is such an elevated word. And yet nowadays, you find everybody addressing each other. My dear fellow yogis, what have they done? Bought a yoga mat. You buy a yoga mat and you think you are a yogi? Gangster yogi just got something for this morning. You buy a yoga mat and you think you are a yogi? Watch out. The more difficult practices are to be learned at the appropriate time. Everybody wants it right now. Give it to me. Why? Because I'm me. You know where you are to go. When you have that attitude, please go there. The more difficult practices are to be learned at the appropriate time. And that is why Swamiji ends this whole table. And I've shared it because I felt people need to know about it. He says, learn the basic rhythms, then experiment. Everybody in today's session is like, we are going to do 16-8. It's okay. You should know about it. And get back to where you are comfortable. Even if it's a 4-2, keep going on the 4-2. Then go on the 6-3, the 8-4. Develop yourself until the 16-8 occurs. Because, what is the 16-8? Just think about it. I'm going to give you a count just so that you realize what it is. Needs a lot of practice. Okay, it would be breathe out, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was just one breath cycle. Okay, please do not even try it. See, if you can build yourself up to 12:6, it itself is a great achievement. The 14:7 and the 8 16:8 and anything beyond that is a matter for deep sadhana. There are certain things that are to be kept in mind, and that is why normally Swamiji used to have the favoritism towards 8-4. I have it towards 6-3. And the 8-4, even this morning I was just trying what it is. And there's a big difference. If you're walking and, like I was suggesting yesterday, if you're walking and you're trying the 8-4 count or the 6-3, there's a huge difference in how the body responds to the count if you're walking with it. And I think 6-3, 8-4, those counts are more than enough for most people. The rest of it is actually more for sadhana. And one has to realize there are practices that are to be taken up as a deep sadhana. There are practices that can be done to attain, maintain, or regain health. And then there are practices that are to be just brought in so that, you are doing something for yourself as part of self-responsibility. That self-responsibility is to do something for ourselves so that we can be in a healthy state, as healthy a state as possible within our given circumstances. We'll continue some more discussions and sessions to come. I'll be back in a few moments for the global prayer. Thank you for spending time with me and enabling me to share these wonderful teachings. I just wanted to share something that Arvind ji had mentioned, and I think it scrolled too fast for me. And he had given a beautiful analogy that Satyavan is the one who carries the truth, that is the soul. And Satyavan is the one who carries the truth, the soul. Savitri is belonging to Savitri, the life force of prana. Yama is time. So he has given a very beautiful metaphorical understanding of what these characters are. Satyavan, the one who carries the truth, that is the soul, the Atma. Savitri is belonging to Savitu, or the life force of prana, and Yama is time. And he has mentioned that whenever he teaches Savitri Pranayama, he brings this. It's a very beautiful analogy, and I didn't want to miss it. Thank you very much, Arvinda ji, for sharing this. Arvinda ji is one of the Parampara members of Swamiji's teachings through his guru, Narasimha Murthy ji in Bangalore, and spreading the message of Gitananda Yoga amongst his students, someone who fiercely adheres to tradition, and I respect that a lot. Love you all. See you all whenever we see you next. Be blessed.